You ever sit and think about all the wild horses you chased in this life? The thrills, the dreams, the women, the fame, the ones that never did fill that hole inside your chest. You run hard, didn't you? You chased the wind like you could tie it down and make it stay, but every time you thought you had it, it slipped right through your fingers like the desert sand. And somewhere in that dust, you lost the boy who used to pray for simpler things, the one who'd sit under the stars and talk to God like he was right there in the dark. And now you chase noise just to drown out the silence that used to sound like peace. Some of us chase the high of a young man's game, fast cars, late nights, and louder sins, and some of us sold what couldn't be bought, and some of us bought what shouldn't have been sold. Some ran the streets, some jumped from airplanes, some loaded that rig and lit that pipe and chased that dragon all the way down the rabbit hole looking for Alice. Some drank just to forget, but they found those same memories waiting at the bottom of that bottle. And some of us, we served Shaitan like he was a king, and we called it having fun because we couldn't see the horns behind his smile. But Shaitan never tells you when the bill comes due. He just keeps the music playing while he drains your soul dry. Till one day you wake up in a room full of everything you ever wanted and realize that you ain't felt alive in years. But let me tell you something, brother. Every time you turned to that bottle upside down and decided not this time, and every time you looked into those big, beautiful brown or blue eyes and said no for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's a victory heaven noticed. Every haram you repented from and every sin you cried over, every sujood you made while your body was too tired to stand, that's living your Islam. Not the fancy words and not the images you post online, but the nights you wrestled your own soul and you walked away limping, but still faithful. Remember what your Lord said. Indeed, Allah loves those who turn back to Him, and He loves those who purify themselves. That means every stumble you rose from and every tear that hit the prayer rug, He counted it like treasure. Some of y'all lived your whole life at the bottom, and some of y'all were born at the top. Allah sees both. He saw when you were hungry, and you still gave your last $10 to that single mama, because you could see the heartbreak in her eyes and the fear in the faces of her kids. He saw that time you worked a 12-hour shift and then drove 6 more hours just to help a brother in need. He saw when that sister needed a shoulder to cry on and you made the time, not for dunya, but for the sake of mercy. That's Islam. That's the deen in motion. Not just the trips we take to Mecca or Medina, but in the sacrifices we make when nobody's looking. Maybe the angels wrote your name not when you circled the Kaaba, but when you held your tongue instead of cussing back. Maybe your greatest jihad was forgiving the ones who never said sorry. You see, we all got our own wild horses. Some of us are still trying to rope them in. The rush, the noise, the chase, but real peace ain't found in the thunder of their hooves. It's found in the stillness after they're gone. When the dust settles and you realize all you ever needed was to stop running and start submitting. Because that same heart that burns for the dunya can be the same heart that bows for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if you just let it. You'll cry one day, not because life hurt you, but because you'll realize how patient Allah was while you were busy running. He watched you chase every horse in the desert and still waited at the gate. The sunrise on the Kaaba, the sunset across the desert. These moments break a man. They remind you how small you are and how vast His mercy really is. You climb the highest mountain. You reach the edge of yourself and you realize the peace you were chasing was never out there in the wild. It was waiting inside your surrender. We spend years fighting wars outside of ourselves, politics, opinions, and pride, but the real battle's been under your ribcage the whole time. That's where the faith bleeds, and that's where Allah revives it. So if you've ever prayed while your body shook from exhaustion, if you've ever said astaghfirullah through the tears, if you've ever turned away from sin when everything in you wanted to give in, know this. Allah saw you. Allah wrote it down, and the angels leaned in close when you whispered His name. Because success ain't just the Hajj you save for, it's in the battle you fight every single day. The one between your ego and your soul. And maybe, just maybe, the real victory was never in chasing the wild horses, but in learning to walk away and finding peace in the pasture of surrender. Because, brother, when you finally stop running, you'll find out it wasn't the horses you were chasing. It was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all along. Let the horses run and let the world keep spinning. You just kneel down in the dust, because that's where kings are crowned in this deen. And that's all I got to say about it.